it was DJ Quik burning a death row check. It was a royalty check. And fam was pretty pissed off. I'm gonna read to you what he said. And, we can kind of toss it around, see what you guys think about it. So Quik says, and I'm reading the quote. He says, "I'm not happy. I'm real offended by this death row check and this amount. As much work as I did for these sons of bitches, I just feel like the respect factor is just crazy. There is none. To show you what your money means to me, Death Row Records, all the Tupac shit I did, all the help with here go these ads changing the screen. I'm sorry. All the help I did with the Dog Pound project, Devil, you are a bitch. I want my real money, and I want all my credits for everything that I did in this industry." And he continued to say, "All the songs, including Hiding Here by Nelly and Pharrell, I want my credit for that being Get Naked." He said, "I want my credit for Kendrick Lamar." And this is no disrespect to Kendrick Lamar. Yeah, for 𝐀𝐁𝐎𝐃. He said, "I love TDE. I want my credit for 𝐀𝐁𝐎𝐃 as well." He said it was crazy. That's crazy. So first thing that jumped out to me was always been on the side of Quik doesn't get the love that he deserves. I always said that because he's one of my favorites. Lone know that. We've had that conversation. Sly, I always tell you we should have been born in Los Angeles, in Compton.
I don't know if we really would have survived. It was kind of dangerous back then, but
might not have made it. We might not have made it, but the sound, brother, from a sound standpoint.
Okay, got you. Yeah, I don't want to.
So you know what I'm talking about. That bounce, that's crazy.
Self-preservation. Go ahead. I'm sorry,
sir. Yes, sir. But I've always felt that he's been, he gets played, man. When we talk about all-time great producers, but it's kind of shocking to me to see a dude that did that much work, especially with Death Row, to even be able to say something like that. Like, I was personally blown away by the video. Like, how could y'all play DJ Quik? Like, I'm confused. As much as he did for Death Row, I'm talking about at the apex, the prime. I'm confused as to how he could get played. He started mentioning Hiding Here, all those records. I had no idea about that, but maybe there's a reason why we didn't know about that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Based on what he's saying. So I was pissed off for him, man, because he's one of my favorites, and I could be biased, but hearing DJ Quik say that, like, what do y'all think about that, man? If you hear him just thinking about what I just read and seeing Quik talk about getting played by Death Row, like, how the hell does that even happen? Slide, I'll come to you first.
You find out the game doesn't really love you as much as you think. You know what I'm saying? Like, it happens, dog. If a DJ can leave a venue, a packed venue, without money, I'm guessing when there's more money involved, it can get uglier when there's records, when it comes time for credits, when it comes time for proper distribution of money. A lot of these record labels are known for, like, not even really giving these cats back their checks. A lot of people, you know what I'm saying? Like, advances, damn near taking 9 months to a year in order to be able to get that off a record that just came out. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm not surprised, but I'm kind of heartbroken for him. I'm heartbroken for him, but I'm not surprised though.
You more heartbroken than shocked?
Yeah, I'm not shocked at all.
I mean, I know it's dirty, man, but these are certain people, you look at them like, until you get older, they're like superheroes. You know what I'm saying? You look up to these dudes, it's like, not DJ Quik, like, not Quik's groove Quik, like, nah, not him. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just, and that's just the bias, and that's just.
I'm a little shocked. I'm actually a little shocked by the fact that he doesn't have any credits on this, because even though we've talked about on this show many times, and you say this on a regular basis, Mike, that Quik's one of your favorite producers, period. But like, and he is very, I don't want to say slept on, but he is somebody that it does get overlooked. But he doesn't seem like he's overlooked by the people around him. At least I didn't get that impression. So this is actually kind of shocking to me. Now, he did target the whole thing at Death Row specifically. So I don't know if it's more so along that, but some of the songs that he mentioned, I was actually kind of shocked, Now, I don't. Yeah,
I guess what part of it shocks you?
Go ahead, I'm sorry, I can answer for you.
Oh, which part?
I'm asking both of you. I'm asking what part of it shocks you. No. Like, what part of him? Like, I guess what part of this particular thing shocks you? That's all.
Only because I think maybe from the outside looking in, I felt like maybe, within those artists that Quik was a part of back then, and I'm thinking of like Snoop, and then how it has turned into TDE and Dre and all that. It just felt like Quik was a part of it, and maybe that's just my ignorance and not knowing that. He wasn't as involved or as close to those guys as it seems, but it just seemed like Quik was a part. They just seemed like from here looking in, it just seems like they take care of their own, and sans Death Row, I guess, but
right.
I don't know. I guess it was just shocking that Quik, was.
Because I mean, like y'all know how they did Warren G and shit.
Yeah, I heard about it.
You know what I'm saying? So like, I, as much as he was part of the fold, like we didn't really even find out that Dad, like you had to really pay attention to know that Dad's produced a lot of that shit.
True,
he did, but you think about it though. There's Quik. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but I've always been under the impression, based off what I've read and seen, on the net, is that like All Eyes on Me was turned in like what 2 or 3 weeks, and Quik mixed all that shit as the engineer. Like Lone's point is like, you can't jerk the dude that mixes me, and maybe like I said, it's just outside looking in, because we all know we've all been jerked at some point, so we get it.
Pause.
I'm saying is, we'll do that. But what I'm saying is, thank you, sir. What I'm saying is, DJ Quik though, like you gonna call me in to mix All Eyes on Me, Pac fresh out of jail, and it's like you still sending me bullshit checks. Like I'm with Lone from a standpoint of. Not him. I can't see them playing him. That's no, but like, maybe that's just
I want you to specify your shock. Specify that for me. What part of it shocked you? If you know, if you know Death Row's dealings, what part of it shocks you?
King Kunta shocked me. Nelly, It's Hot in Here shocked me. In the Club shocked me, because this is like post Death Row. Sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like we're talking about Kendrick, we're talking about TDE, and the Nelly Hot in Here thing was just random. But In the Club, he played, and maybe it's just a part that he just had contribution. I know he mentioned that he didn't necessarily produce everything on it. He just did parts of certain tracks. So maybe there was a misunderstanding. Maybe, I don't know. But
how liner notes work. How liner notes work, and how many names are listed on those. You know what I'm saying? So. Lone, I agree with Lone from the standpoint of the records that he started dropping. I wouldn't have seen it at all. Like based off those records and just knowing how they sound and just knowing the artist, I'm like, nah, I couldn't have seen that. Like that.
All Eyes on Me doesn't shock me. All Eyes on Me doesn't shock me. If he mentioned a whole bunch of records from the 90s, it wouldn't have shocked me. But once you start getting into like other artists, like naming Pharrell, and naming, Kendrick, was a little bit different,
Shout out to Slot for playing bomb ass on request at Coaches. Jay Moore, jump in, man.
Look, you gotta understand, Death Row didn't pay Snoop. They didn't pay Daz. They didn't pay Corrupt. They didn't pay Tupac. Tupac was trying to leave, and he was like, well, what about this? That's well documented. So
Dre even.
To come to find out that Death Row wasn't paying people, like their books were a mess when Suge went to jail and after Pac died. Come to find out that people's royalties were paying for cars and houses and certain people's child support. I mean, the paperwork at Death Row was a mess. And this is going, this is what, 96, 97. So, I mean, that's why of all places, like, Hasbro owns Death Row now. Like that's why, nobody could even get a hold of it, because at one point it was basically sold off at auction. As far as the other things, if you got beef with how they might have, flipped some drums or took a sample from you in 19, for Hot in Here, that's almost 20 years ago. That's something you need to take up with your lawyer. Like you might be past, if you got an issue with TDE, like don't just go on Instagram and hopefully the people will get it done for you. At this point, you get lawyers involved with that, because it's about your intellectual property. And while I think it's, a gesture to burn up a check, come on, man, it's 2021. We know how technology goes. You can take a picture of your check, send it to Chase, and it's in your bank account, even if it's only $4. You know what I'm saying? So he might have burned the check for a certain performative thing. But, I mean, I don't care if it is for $4. Don't be out here burning checks, fam. You don't know look. I'm not burning no check for $4. I'll go get myself some lunch.
He seemed, the video, it seemed like even though he mentioned a whole bunch of names where he didn't necessarily get his credit, The anger seemed to be focused towards death row.
Facts.
That's what I took from it. That's what.
So that part doesn't shock me at all, you know. But some of the other things, just some of the credits.
So being the fact that I know I'm talking to two other producers in here, and you know how we're treated, just to the mass public. Period. Either you put out a beat tape, cats steal your beat, go record a song. I had a whole instrument. All right, so me and Scheme did an EP. I went ahead, released the instrumentals. That was just a part of how I was going to get paid from the project, because he had essentially financed a whole bunch of it. So I was like, all right, man, that's all you. It is what it is, no trip.
Mm-hmm. Right.
There was a dude who went ahead and recorded a whole album to the beats and then put it out on CD Baby. Now, if that can happen to me, I don't know. I believe this removes a layer, right? Because a lot of times what we'll do is either it be via a method in hip hop, either it be a certain job or position in hip hop. We always think like, oh man, that's the dude right there. And it's rarely the case.
Yeah.
He may be like, DJ Premier is a GOAT, right? We can all agree on that?
Definitely.
But there may be, for sure, but there is definitely a subset of people who will be like, oh, he did that beat for me. It's whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I guess I don't know who's watching, or you know what I mean? I don't necessarily know the ages of who's watching. But one of the things that I've learned recently is like, yo, there's a veil on hip hop that we believe in that may be inaccurate.
And Slot, I can openly admit, like I said earlier, the fan in me, bias fan in me is probably, a higher percentage versus reality. I can admit that, because you just look at it and it's like, nah, they wouldn't do him like that. Reality says, hell, you can do that shit to me and you. Why would we've heard too many people talk about it. We know multiple people that have been through, all of us have been through the same thing. So, be
fighting
clear.
For credit, everything.
Man, it's shady out there. Like, fam recorded a whole project and was like, yeah, I work with him. No, you didn't work with Slot. Like,
doesn't the story go that you walked into a venue with somebody performing over your beats?
Yeah, I walked into a venue of that, just over the instrumental, never reached out to me, looked him dead in his eye. I was like, oh man, you rapping to my beat. That's interesting. Oh man, yo, hey man, thank you, bro. Luckily it was an open mic. I wasn't too offended, but at the same time, I'm like,
thank you. You ain't never talked to me. Like, surprise.
Bro, you still got my tags all over this shit, like from the original tape. Like,
that's super corny. That's super corny. Rapping over tags, that's corny.
Tags, all sorts of vocals.
He left the tags
coming in.
Yeah, he left the tags for credit, man.
Oh,
that's how he was gonna get back. And man, I work with my man Slot. We give it up.
Those tags was for thirst. He ain't care. Like, fuck it, I'm just gonna record over the tags. Like, those were thirst. That was for thirst. But nah, man, it's unfortunate, man. But so many OGs, like Jay Moore said, you got multiple people that was jerked, man. It's just I can't remember which one of y'all said it, but it was Jay Moore. This ain't the way, bro. Like, if you gonna take legal action, like, take it. And Hot in Here came out. I don't know where the hell I was. Well, yes, I do. Hot in Here came out in what year that came out, Jay Moore? You from St. Louis?
Hot in Here
was Hot in Here.
What, 2002, 2003?
That's what it was.
Hold on, I'll look it up right now.
So it's like, now you talking about something that hit 20 years ago. I was like, okay, where was your lawyer 20 years ago? If you got to, I'm not
2002.
Yeah. So 2002, and you talking about, you want your credit in, it's 2021, fam. Like, and you're probably owed. I'm not taking that away from you. You probably are owed. But why didn't you say nothing then? I mean, we can't. And maybe it's political, because this record industry, there's a lot of people who wind up getting jerked and they don't want to say anything because it'll keep them from working with
getting another
next artist. Yeah. So okay, maybe they get short at this time. And I know producers who had to go through this. People I know personally who they might have raised a little issue about what was going on, and then their phone stopped ringing. So it's unfortunate, but a lot of times playing the game is the worst part of the game, because you've got to wait until until you've done like 5 things in a row, and they're like, oh, okay, I guess we'll pay him now. But DJ Quik is in a different situation because Quik was solidified in the game, you know, by the time Hot in Here came out. And if he's owed a piece of that, then he needs to go back and get it, not now, but right now.
I'm talking about right now, because we know how big that record was. So I hope he can get his just due, man. Like, he put it on blast, but the second part is following up. Like, it's acknowledging and then it's following up on trying to get your paper. So
if you've enjoyed this segment of the New Old Heads podcast, make sure to join our live show every Tuesday from 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/newoldheads. And we invite you to join our hip hop community on Discord. Access it by going to newoldheads.com/community for talks on hip hop, sports, music, news, and everything else.